Okay, guys, we're back here. I'm sorry about that. I got to send Rick another link. I don't know what happened. I think it was when my computer was kind of going south on me. So bear with me here for a second while I do that. Thank you guys for hanging in there tonight. Rick's a great person, and I want to make sure that we have our time with him tonight. So just hang in for just a second here because I got to send him a link. Yes, we are back, Lloyd. And let me get a link to Rick here. Thank you guys for hanging in there. I really appreciate it. Email has been sent. So thank you guys for hanging in there tonight. Yeah, I know, Steve. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. You guys hanging in there. Let me text Rick here. Okay. Dave, thanks so much. Cole, everybody, Peter, Mel, Drone Wolf, thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. And hopefully this time we'll be able to get Rick. So I sent him a brand new link. Technology is a wonderful thing when it's working. You're right, Rodney. Can't, when it's not working. Steve, thanks so much. So I'm hopeful it's working this time for Rick. I don't know why at 10 to 8, things just kind of froze up, and I got back in because you have to use, when you use Google Hangouts for this, for YouTube, you got to do it through Chrome. And I normally use Microsoft Edge. Well, Chrome was deciding to go south on me. Things were freezing up, so I had my wife bring her computer out, but I'm hopeful Rick will be able to join us here in a second. Oh, the join. You got that right. You got that right, Steve. I'm telling you. Wow.
Hey, Bill?
Yay, we got Rick.
Man, I'm so sorry.
No, hey, no, absolutely not. Thank you for bearing with, we just talked about when technology works, it's a wonderful thing. And when it doesn't, look out.
Yeah, that's for sure. The snag seemed to be it didn't like my browser, it didn't like the Firefox, so I had to sign in through Chrome, and it seemed to like it there. So
that's one of the things with Google Hangouts. I was just telling everybody, to do this, you have to do it through Google. So, yep. But anyway, a delayed welcome. Thank you very much for joining tonight.
You bet.
We're real happy that you're here. And I know unless you've been under a bushel and haven't been, used to who you are, if you could just give us just a brief synopsis of, how you got started with drones and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so basically, I've been flying for quite some time, and I actually started with remote control equipment way back in the day. And I think my first drone I flew was actually a Parrot product. They made the AR product, which was nothing more than a styrofoam foam form with propellers on the side of it, and it flew pretty well. And I caught the bug right then, because I realized, man, if I can put this thing up in the air and slap a camera on it somehow, it's going to be an awesome experience. And that just really took off from there. But in general, remote control has been a big part of my life. I'm an engineer. I work for Hitachi. I've worked for HP and a bunch of other companies. And technology in general is something that I just really, it's a hobby as well as a profession. So I have a lot of fun with it.
That's great. We're just going to jump right into things because we got a lot. There's so much that's coming. Now, last night I watched Billy Kyle's on a show with Ken Dono. He goes by Original Dobo. Yep. And last night on that show, Billy said, and I'm going to try to get this up here, read this quote. And this is from Bill Thomas. And if you're familiar, Bill Thomas is from Coast to Coast Drones. Let me read this here. Billy said at the beginning of the stream, he was told Mavic 2 is being held up because of security issues with the software, as it appears the flaws were never really truly removed from the Mavic software, making it a threat to national security. And he said, remember when the military stopped using the Mavic? Have you heard anything about that?
Nah. You know what it is? Anytime there's a delay and there's this much anticipation for a product, all kinds of wild stories start up. And I tend to stay away from that stuff. I don't like to be a guy who gets into that conversation until I'm sure about a particular thing. And we all saw the picture that was posted. Lavalier had it, and a few other people posted it with, you know, the purported Mavic 2 and some other kind of interesting, tantalizing clues and some other products off to the left of that picture. I've heard, you know, it's because of the tariffs that our wonderful president's put in place against China. So there's a lot of speculation out there. I'm talking to DJI, but I can't reveal a lot of what I hear from them because some of it is sort of on the QT, some of it is public information. And I think it's something simple. I definitely think it's a software issue. I don't know if there's any security flaws there. I know they fixed a lot of those back when they had the government sort of complaining about people being able to hack the software. I don't know if that was actually a fact or not, because I feel like they really do a good job of protecting the software. But I would suspect at this point that it has something to do with some of the features that the software controls that maybe aren't perfect. And they're not in any rush to release it. I mean, they really are king of the hill right now. And I know I'll get in trouble for saying this, but even with the Evo, and I've got an Evo and an Ahna Fee over here, that Mavic Pro is still, for me, I'm going to say 6 months or a year ahead of both of those products. But for DJI, I'm not in a rush to get this thing out.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. You know, they're the king of the hill. They pretty much dictate the landscape of what's going on right now as far as all this is concerned. And, you know, I know they're in no rush, but today, one of the things that I saw, Drone DJ, hey, Kesterloop, they reported that on Amazon Prime, they will have the Mavic Pro for $600 starting on Monday for 36 hours.
Yep. I got the same email. I think what they're doing is clearing out inventory, obviously, but everybody that asked me if they should wait for the brand new drone, whatever it's going to be from DJI, my advice to them is buy the Mavic Pro and fly it, especially after this Prime Days deal, because you really are buying essentially the best drone that's ever been built, from my opinion, and you're getting it at a price that I'm sure they're losing money on it just to get the inventory cleared out. And even if the Mavic Pro comes out and it's everything UI and everybody else has dreamed about, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So you're going to end up paying, I'm suspecting with the Fly More combo, you're probably going to be closer to $1,700. So if you knock $300 off of the current price of the Mavic Pro on Amazon during that special, that's a third the price of what that new Mavic is. For me, it would have to be 3 times as exciting for me to actually spend that money, right? That's the hard part.
Yeah, that is the hard part. And, you know, the one of the things too, you know, with everything that's going on and all the hubbub and everything, you know, one of the things, because I get a lot of emails every day, and I'm sure you do as well. And that's one of the questions people have been asking me is, what should I do, Bill? You know, what should I do? You know, and my first advice is, number one, you know, the old saying, you know, the best drone is the one that you own, or the one that your neighbor owns down the street. The other piece of advice I tell them is this. I said, if you need a drone, get the best drone available for what you're looking for. If you're going to be a photographer, you know, if you're doing real estate, if you know, whatever your need is, get that type of drone. You know, if a Mavic Air will work for you, get a Mavic Air. But if you need something, you know, that you're not worried about portability, get a Phantom 4 Pro V2.0. You know, do what you can right now. Don't wait. But if you can wait, then, you know, don't do anything until DJI comes out with something.
Yeah, I really agree with you there 100%. I mean, my philosophy has always been buy something today and get out and fly. I mean, I have so many friends that want to know what's coming with DJI. I'm waiting. I've saved my money. I'm waiting. And they're waiting weeks. I mean, this could be another 3 or 4 weeks before this thing comes out. They're wasting all that time. They could be out there in the woods or the lake flying that drone. So I keep telling them, for me, again, even if this Mavic 2, Mavic Pro 2 comes out, and I'll give you some speculation on what I think is going to happen there in a minute, but even if those drones come out, you've now wasted 5 weeks of flying time. And that Mavic Pro, when they drop that price by $300, they're going to decimate the competition. At that point, there's no reason to buy an Ahna Fee. You're getting such a better value for that Mavic Pro at that price point.
Well, you know, and I think, and one of the things, you know, and I know, and we'll talk more about the Ahna Fee in a second, but one of the things I know, I talked to Billy Kyle about it offline, and he actually went to, they had a small event in New York City, and he was telling me, you know, he was at the event, he was actually very impressed with it. Now, you know, one of the things, you know, that I've heard, you know, I've heard a lot about it, and I know you've had some hands-on, you've had some time with it. You know, for example, you know, one of the things that I heard, you know, obviously to unlock some of the like follow me features and other things, $17 a piece. Okay. You know, and I know Ken Dono, and thanks Ken for your super chat tonight. Original Dobo. You know, he was telling me, you know, also the batteries are $100. You know, and that's adding up. You know, I know they tried, and from what I heard, and you can probably corroborate this, you know, they were listening, they said, to the customers and what they wanted with a drone. But, you know, at the same time, you know, for instance, you know, Original Dobo was saying, you know, he's going in to take that special shot that you have with the Ahna Fee and where it backs up. But you want to have, you know, at least like a rear sensor, because, you know, you can't see behind you. You know what I'm saying?
So I would agree certainly with some aspects of that. So there's the Ahna Fee. I don't know if you can see it in the shot or not.
Oh yeah, got it. Good.
I've been flying this thing like mad over the last week. I've had it about a week now, and I love it. It's a fantastic drone for what they've built. And again, I'm not picking on Parrot. I like Parrot a lot. I own a couple of Bebops. I've got that gigantic Sky controller that came with the first Bebop. I've got a couple of their AR drones, but they're catching up. I mean, and really, quite honestly, so is Evo catching up. I mean, both of those companies are sort of looking at what's selling in the market space and trying to build a drone that competes in that market space. If this Ahna Fee came out at a $400, $499 price range, be a home run for them. But at the price point it's at, I think it's a little overpriced. There are some cool features on it. I think the camera is fantastic. I love the HDR recording capabilities. The 180 flip up and down is great. It does have a lack of obstacle avoidance sensors. That's definitely a good point. But to be honest with you, Bill, I'm not a big fan of crash avoidance sensors anyway. I would love to have them in the back, because that's the one time I get in troubles when I'm pulling back from a shot, because I've got the camera facing forward and I don't know what's behind me. I'm trying to keep as best visual line of sight as I can on the drone, but if I'm near trees, I could have issues. But I'm telling you, this thing flies like a dream. It's the quietest drone I've put up. It's so damn sexy in flight. It really, I hate to say that because I sound like a nerd, but it's so smooth when you're flying. It's just it's a joy to fly. So I've been really having a lot of fun with it. But I think now, again, with this move by DJI, I don't know how you sell that drone at $699. And as far as the features go, I had a long conversation. I'm friends with a few people at Parrot. I had a long conversation with them the day after I got the drone, because there's a few things I'm going to pick on with this drone. I'm actually working on a clip right now, and if your viewers are buying this drone, it's a great drone to own. So if you buy it, don't think twice about it. But one of the problems, and I think Original Dobo talked about this already, but the memory card down here, this micro SD memory card, it's a really clumsy setup the way they put it in there. It's really not built to be taken out a lot of different times, because you have to gently pull down on the top, flip it open, pull the card out, put it back in, make sure you get it in right. And literally the third time I flew it, I pulled it back, it flew out, went in the grass. I spent 2 hours trying to find it. It's gone. So so I can't record with this right now until I find a replacement. So I feel like everybody that flies this drone is going to have that problem sooner or later. So I've ordered 1,000 of them in from China. I got right on the phone with our distributors in China and said, find me that door. I'm going to bring them in, put them on the website, so when people lose them, we have them. But those kind of sophomore mistakes in engineering really show that they're getting there. And I really am rooting for Parrot to be successful, just like I'm with the Evo. I mean, the Evo, for my money, is a great drone. It's a wonderful drone to fly. I've been flying it like crazy too. But I think they're playing catch up in some ways. And I know I took a lot of heat when I picked on the Evo when I first talked about the Evo, because we saw it at CES. And I'm really impressed with the engineering. But their guys had a shot at really capturing that market. They had a version of it there that had a 1-inch sensor on it. It was a gorgeous looking quad. Had that quad hit the market even at $15.99, DJI would have had to take notice at that point. It would have been a real competition. But the smaller sensor, even though it's a fantastic quality sensor, it's catch up. Just like the Autel X was kind of catch up for the Phantom. So I think the next gen of both these products will be incredibly compelling. But today, back to your original question, I'm rambling a little bit. The sensors bother me, but it's not like a drop dead kind of thing where I wouldn't buy it. Right.
Right. and one of the things that I had talked about, I had done a video on, what we can expect is, at the event for the product. And I've been, and some people agree, some people don't agree. My thought is this, that they're coming out with a Mavic 2 and a Mavic Pro 2. And that the Mavic 2 it will be beefed up from what the current Mavic Pro is, and that the Mavic Pro 2 is going to have the 1-inch sensor.
All right, so I got to remember what I can talk about and what I can't.
Okay.
I'll give you all the stuff I can talk about. So I would say you're definitely right. I believe you're right on both those counts. I think they're going to come out with sort of a unit that's fixed as a Mavic 2, and that'll have a sensor mounted to it. It'll probably have 32 minutes of flight time. It'll have a 1/1.7 sensor is where I think they're going to land on that. But I think the Mavic Pro 2, which may not actually be announced at this event, it may come later, I think is going to have a removable sensor. And the reason I say that is, and you may have watched the video I did the other day talking about that picture that's been floating around. And by the way, I got that domestically from a few friends that are inside the business. I also got it from 2 of my distributors in China that are sort of accessory manufacturers that get advance notice on products. And when I sent them the photo, I got giggles back from them about how did you get that? So I have pretty good confidence that what was in that photo is stuff we're probably going to see, maybe not at the release, but very soon after. But the reason I'm saying the Mavic Pro 2 will have a removable gimbal is I think they're going the way of Karma, which I thought was a brilliant product. Okay, it didn't work out. Batteries were falling out and all that, but it was their first effort, right? Give them some credit for trying. I wish they stuck with it, to be honest with you. But anyway, what I liked about the Karma was the fact that I could take the camera and move it to the gimbal, move it to the drone, use it on my head if I want with a head mount. And I think DJI caught on. And I think this next product's going to have a removable gimbal that'll move to a handheld stabilizer and also move probably to a terrestrial vehicle like I talked about.
When I saw that and, people had started speculating about that, I said, if this is true and it comes to fruition, it's a home run. It really is, Rick, because, to have that, and you're right, I kind of wish GoPro was able to stick with it as well too, because I think they really had a niche right there. They really carved something out great. And, and I think DJI's picking up where they left off. And obviously, we all know what happened to the GoPro Karma, with the battery issue with that. That was just
such a shame.
It really was.
There's a lot of haters that, people call me a fanboy. They say, oh, he's a DJI fanboy. And the truth is I've been an engineer for 40 plus years and I'm turned on by tech. I know, again, that sounds crazy to say that, but I gravitate to the companies that are breaking ground. And right now, DJI, from every perspective, and I'm looking at all the drones I have sitting here on the table, I take these things apart. I look down right at the printed circuit level. I look at their choices on the components they build the products with, and they've not cut a corner on a single product yet. Now, people will complain the software is glitchy, it doesn't run on Android, their support structure is not that great. You have to remember they're sort of a young company in so many ways that have just exploded tremendously over the last 5 years. They're having a hard time keeping up, and they're competing in so many different markets. They've got quads that fly. They've got the Hasselblad product. They've got the Ronin stuff. They're in professional with the Master Wheels gimbal controls. They're in everything, and they're constantly expanding those markets. But I think with this next release, I said it on the clip, I really think they're going to put a flag in the ground and say, we own this space, and take a look at all the stuff we've got now. Good luck catching up. I really think that's what's happening.
Well, I had a pleasure of from Mel 400 AGL. He was in Tampa, and we were able to. He let me fly his Inspire, Rick, and I'll tell you what, I was just like my jaw was hanging open. My wife was looking at me. She says, "Speak, move your mouth, okay?" Because
you're in the zone.
I tell you what, Rick, I never, and it was just, and what Mel told me to do was, instead of just, like I do on the Mavic, I'm just like all thumbs, he said, pinch your fingers when you control it, because it is just so, and it was just so incredibly responsive. And this was, Mel has an Inspire 1 V2, and I'm like, wow. I mean, it just, the technology, and I try to get this across to people, one of the things that I think DJI does really, really well that they don't, and I've said this so many times, I think people get sick of me saying it, is that they don't waste technology, Rick. What you see in, in the Matrice series and so forth, you'll see that trickle on down all the way to the consumer level, because they, for example, and I wanted to talk about, how everybody thought, oh, the detachable lens, and it was on a Phantom 4, and how, the whole thing came out, and hey, Kestelou broke that story about that. And one of the things that I said was, don't be surprised that you'll see this. And I know they said that it was a DJI Enterprise customer. Well, a lot of people surmised that DJI Enterprise customer was DJI, and that that they kind of made that for them. So I said, come later this year, if they come out with a Phantom 5, don't be surprised that you're going to see that and see what that looked like. I mean, as an engineer, looking at the lens system and the precision engineering on that cost them some good coin to do that.
Yeah, that wasn't a fake. And I agree with you 100%. I fly the Inspire too. And I'll be honest with you, it scares me. It really, going from like a Mavic Air to a Phantom is a big step, but going from a Phantom to an Inspire, it's like a pterodactyl when it's up in the air. And little guys, okay, I crash them, everybody crashes them, but I'm not worried I'm going to kill somebody with one of these. That thing up in the air, it's like flying a small plane. So I use it, I'm very careful with it, and I agree with you about the fingers instead of the thumbs, because it's so responsive. But back to your point, the engineering behind this stuff is a miracle. It's actually unbelievable. And I talk all the time about them using sort of Martian technology to build these things, because the advancements in that quad, when you think about the telemetry, the RF transmissions, the video streaming, you've got a cell phone, you've got a high resolution DSLR camera in there, you've got GPS coordination where you can fix your position in 3D space, and return to home functionality, crash avoidance, infrared sensors, virtual or visual IO, virtual endometry, where you're watching the ground to see where your position is, all this stuff built in. It's a miracle this thing flies. So my thought would be, with the Phantom 5, I think how these are going to mature. I think the Phantom's going to stay around. I believe there's a Phantom. We'll probably see it closer to Christmas. But I think with the Phantom 5, what you'll see is you'll see those lenses, the replaceable lens cameras on that one. It'll be a higher quality camera. So you're right. The Inspire had it first. Step it down to the Phantom for the changeable lenses, maybe even a removable gimbal on that one. But I really believe the Mavic Pro will have a removable gimbal as well, but it'll be a smaller form factor. So I think upgrading the whole line, which is great for us.
And that's one of the things that I was talking about. People were asking me, about timing it, and I agree 100% with you. The DJI, and one of the things that I did, Rick, was I went all the way back to the Phantom 1, and I went all the way back to their press releases, and I was on a treasure hunt on DJI's website to get the actual release dates, because I had no idea, like with Phantom 1 and Phantom 2. And I put all this together in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm a tech guy too, and I love doing that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, Rick, there was absolutely, and see, I used to be a programmer. I'm now a quality assurance software tester. Mm-hmm. There was no rhyme, there was no pattern, there was no logic. I mean, that's how I was trained in college, was to find patterns and logic and things. There was absolutely none of that with this. Right. And as far as their release dates are concerned, because a lot of people said, look at their release dates. Well, the other thing that I've talked quite a bit about on my channel was, for people, go out to the FCC grant ID database. Right. But the other thing with that is, and I've told people, the last two releases for the Mavic Air and for the Spark, the FCC grant ID was approved the day that those were released. So, that's not always a good bellwether or predictor.
No, you'll find a lot of that stuff, because you can check like Trademarkia, and you can check the FCC website for the RF transmission certifications they have to go through. But they sign NDAs. So, because if they didn't, obviously they would test it, they'd talk about it, there'd be diagrams out there, people would know what the product was coming. So they figured all that stuff out. But again, at the end of the day, I think the coolest thing about this is it's a wonderful hobby. I mean, we're having a lot of fun flying these things. And I know when people ask me, what should I buy? Should I wait? Should I wait? I kind of think of it like I drive my car to go to work, and I'm not a car guy, but it gets me from point A to point B. That's the experience I get. With the quads, even though I'm a nut and I buy everything that comes out, or I'm lucky sometimes where they'll send me one for review, I can't fly them all, right? When I went out this afternoon, I'm down in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey flying. I happen to be flying the Evo, whole lot of fun, but the same experience pretty much as all the other quads. So when people get so excited about this release, and I'm excited as can be about it, don't worry, don't wait. Just find something you can afford today that you can fly, buy it and fly it, and don't look back. Don't worry so much. There's always going to be another quad. The next one maybe will have an invisibility factor. Who knows what they're going to invent next? But you don't need the latest and greatest to enjoy this hobby. And I don't want it to be expensive for people. I want them to get out there and just enjoy it and feel the joy we feel by putting a quad up and taking beautiful pictures of a landscape. I think that's really what people need to understand. So
one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, I know you had got the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0 from DJI, and a lot of people were talking about that. And one of the couple of things that I said, I'm calling that a filler, and that's a filler between now and the end of the year. That bridges a gap right there. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to ask you too, Rick, was we talked about the OcuSync 2.0, and I know you've had some time with it. How's your experience been with it?
Rock solid. It's been really good. And I actually have a clip I'm working on right now where I'm breaking it here. I'm going to actually test I don't like to do limit tests. That's one of my pet peeves, is that, maybe call me conservative, but I tend to follow the rules all the time that the FAA has laid out. And it drives me nuts when I see people doing ultimate distance tests on their channel where they'll put a bird up and fly it, 5.5 miles till it's returned to home and come back. You're breaking the law there. You really are. I mean, it's a regulation the FAA put out. So I'm trying to figure out a way to test this thing to its limits to trigger the RTF or RTH and not break the law. So I figured out a way to do that. I won't reveal what it is here, but there is a way to do that. And I'm going to test the brand new Phantom 4 Pro V2 against the original Phantom 4 Pro Plus, actually, and show you the difference between them. But experientially, the OcuSync to me is as good as the Lightbridge, just as rock solid as far as the distance and the video streaming quality. I think their big advantage with this, and I think it's a wonderful thing they did, was to upgrade the ESCs to the sinusoidals, makes them quieter, more efficient. Certainly the lower noise blades are great. And I did an audio test on that and spectrum analysis and all that stuff. So I like it. My recommendation at the end of the clip was, don't go out and buy it if you own a Phantom. But if you don't own a Phantom, that's the one to own at present.
Well, I got a chance, and Mel's a great guy, and you've had an interaction with him. He just, if you've ever seen, you got to watch a video. Ken Heron put out a video about his truck called the Flying Eagle Hilton.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Rick, it's just like it's exactly what it is. And I'll tell you what, it's like, well, there's his Inspire, and there's his Phantom 4 Pro, and there's his Mavic Air, and there's his Phantom 4. I mean, he just all over the place inside there. But I'll tell you what, Mel, and Mel's on the stream tonight, and I'm going to kind of bolster him up a little bit.
Oh, cool.
He didn't know that. But I'll tell you what, Rick, I've been around a lot of pilots, and he has, I'll call them mad pilot skills. He knows how to drop. I mean, he brought the Inspire back, and it pretty much stopped on a dime. I mean, just the way he flies is just incredible. He absolutely knows what he's doing, and he shoots some great video. He really does. So, and I'm trying to give him a plug for his channel. But no, he's one of the best pilots I've ever been around, and bar none. Just the way he flies, he's fantastic. And I actually got, and it was my first opportunity to fly a Phantom 4 Pro, and I was just, the responsiveness of that was just impressive to me. It was like the responsiveness was like flying the Inspire 1 on a much more of a downgraded level. And I did the same thing, pinch the sticks. So
it's safer. I'm not as afraid of the Phantoms. I love the Phantoms. I use those for all like the important shots because they've got the larger 1-inch sensor on, and the video quality is better. It's more stable in the air. The downside to the Phantom for me is that it's an obvious quad. So if you're around people, that's the one that's going to trigger a whole lot of people coming over to you, asking you questions about what's with the drone, what are you filming, are you shooting my kids, what's going on? But I don't mind those conversations. I've said that in a couple of my clips, that I feel like all of us have to be ambassadors for the hobby. And 99% of the time when people approach me when I'm flying at a beach or park or whatever, where I'm allowed to fly, and they start giving me a hard time, it really turns into a wonderful experience because I'll show them what I'm seeing on the screen. Maybe I'll let them take the sticks for a minute if it's far enough away from us, and it turns into a positive experience. But the Phantom for me is the perfect platform for flying, but I travel a lot. So that's the challenge. So when I travel, it's got to be like the Mavic Air, because that's a lot. I mean, the Mavic Pro, that's a little smaller. In this case right here holds my Mavic Air, the controller, 3 batteries, my cables, my gimbal guards, everything I need. The thing is like the size of a small purse. I mean, I throw that in my travel bag when I'm heading out in the afternoon on a flight, and I've got everything I need with me. So I do have a lot of different drones for different uses, but that Phantom is a perfect platform in so many ways.
It really is. I was going to ask you, and this is one of the things that I experienced. Now, flying in Florida is very different, and I know Original Dobo talks about how, you know, when he goes out, he kind of goes into some of the goes into some of the marshy areas, and you kind of got to watch out for the critters around here that we have down in Florida, you know, those kind of things. But one of the other things, and I know Original Dobo experienced this as well as I did, you know, I'm out there with my iPad Mini 4, and next thing I know, it's getting ready to shut down because it's too hot down here in Florida.
Yeah.
And I found something cool, and you know, and this is just, you know, the nerd in me. I'm like you know, I love tech stuff. Well, I found this actually on there's a guy named Matt Guthmiller. I don't know if you follow him or not. No. He was the youngest pilot to fly around the world. And he has his own channel on YouTube. The guy, he's fantastic. Well, one of the things that he talked about was having a cooling pad like we have for our laptops, but they build them for iPads, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's pricey. It's about $150, almost $200. But, you know, it's something to actually cool something down, you know, out there, because, you know, here you have to find shade, and not just to be able to see the screen. It's just right. That sun, I was very lucky, Rick, because my Mavic Pro was getting ready to land, you know. Right. Otherwise it was just like, uh-oh, you know, we're going to have some problems here.
Yeah.
But one of the questions, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I agree with you. Now, we're lucky. I live in Jersey, but I fly all over the country. I was actually in Switzerland and Prague last week, so I had my drone with me there shooting some footage. You're actually lucky in Florida. I don't want to get too deep into the regulation conversation because that'll be a whole nother hour. But in Florida, you guys, if I'm not mistaken, just changed your laws to a more sensible position. Like in New Jersey, we have no state law, but we have individual township laws, and beaches and parks. They can all make up their own rules, which drives me crazy because I'm flying as an FAA, you know, regulated kind of a guy. In Florida, though, you kind of had the same problem. And I think about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe a little longer, your governor said enough with this, right? And they brought all the control back to Florida and said, you can fly anywhere you want now except for areas that are designated NFZs. So it should be easier to fly in the state, but I do agree with you with the heat. That's got to be a challenge. We don't have that in Jersey. It gets hot, but it doesn't get Florida hot here.
Well, you know, one of the places, you know, living here in Tampa, we're about an hour outside of Orlando. And unfortunately, that's one of the places, and I know I'm friends with, there's a lot of Facebook groups around here for Florida for flying. And they tell me, you know, they have to go out on almost, they call it treasure hunts, to find places they can fly, because the city of Orlando, they really crack down on places where you can be able to fly your drone. So, you know, it's kind of like a treasure hunt. Now, the other thing that I do know is you can fly over a state park. You just can't take off and land in a state park.
How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it doesn't. And so they can't. It's the same in Jersey. They do the same. We have this beautiful island just off the coast of New Jersey called Long Beach Island. I used to fly there all the time. They have the Barnegat Lighthouse in the northern end. They have a place called Holgate in the southern end, which is sort of a sanctuary for birds and stuff. So you can't fly over parts of it. But I used to fly down there all the time. Well, they decided that they were going to make the entire island a no-fly zone. And I'll be honest with you, Bill. I mean, it's probably like with Florida. There are times I'm on those beaches in September and October, and it's like me and a seagull. There's nobody around, but I can't put a bird up or I'm violating the law. And it's crazy because the FAA says you're fine flying there, but they've figured out that if they prohibit taking off and landing from their property, that they can restrict that, but they can't restrict your flying. So if I am in a boat in the water a foot off the beach, I can put it up and fly anywhere I want. But if I'm standing on the beach and launch it, I'm violating the law. So this has to get sane. I mean, I'm working in the background with a couple different groups to try to bring some sanity to it. And I think we all kind of have to speak up, because if we just sit back and think somebody else is going to do it, we're going to end up with maybe, you know, a couple of acres in each state where we can fly our quads if we're not careful.
Yeah. One of the questions, you know, and talking about the my iPad, I was going to bring up the Crystal Sky monitors. Have you had any opportunity to see those or use them at all?
I own one. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic product, and I've kind of held off doing a review on it because I'm of two minds there. And I think maybe I'm wrong here, but I think there are different divisions side of DJI that built that. I think there's the Quad division, then there's the Crystal Sky division, there's a Ronin division. I don't know if they talk to each other or not, but the Crystal Sky as a product is fantastic. It really is bright, it's crisp, it runs well, it's got a huge battery, you can run it forever. It's a closed system, it runs Android, so the application fires up in a second. It runs really, really well. The downside is, it's difficult. It's difficult to sideload applications on there. So if you want to do screen captures or have Lychee and other applications on there, it's a little bit difficult. But my real pet peeve about it is just the design from an engineering perspective doesn't make a lot of sense. The fact that they're charging me $75 for the mount when they charge me a couple $100 for the display. The fact that the battery's center mounted in the back, which means I can't use a standard tablet holder with it. I have to buy the mount. So a lot of it is confusing to me, is how engineering that are that brilliant could be that goofy on certain things. But as a product, it's fantastic. If you're looking for a new monitor, it's wonderful.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things down here in Florida that I'm strongly considering, because I like having my iPad mini. It works well. It serves its purpose. But I want to, because down here, even when it's an overcast day, it's still bright out, because the way the sun is down here, it's just completely different than it is up north. And by the way, I lived in Ohio for 30, and I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so I'm a reformed Yankee down here. So what can I say?
Be careful. Yeah, be careful.
One of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about was, and I'm glad you showed it to us, was the Evo.
Yeah.
Wanted to find out, what your thoughts are about it. You probably had some time with it. Wanted to see what your thoughts are about it.
Yeah, and I know Original Drobo likes this. I think he flies this one. He's a big fan of it. I actually like it a lot. I think they built a really solid quad here, and I know they came at it pretty hard out of the gate. And a lot of people got on me about that, because they were saying, "Oh, Rick, you're killing it. Why are you saying bad things about it?" But what frustrated me, I think, was that this product right here in my hands could have owned the market for the last 7 months, 6-7 months. They could have captured the market. There's a lot of, I shouldn't say this because I'm a fan of DJI, but there's a lot of discontent around DJI from a support perspective. A lot of people don't like the mandated NFZs that are built in. So they're looking for an alternative. This is your alternative. And when I sat with them in the booth at CES, I spent almost an hour with them talking to their engineers and their product marketing teams. And when they showed me the 3 models they had this one in the booth, which is the 1/2.3 sensor. They had the same exact body. It was a little bit larger in the front with a 1-inch sensor on it. And they actually had a model that had a 360-degree camera on the front of it as well. So when I saw those 3 and saw this product, I was elated, because none of us knew it was coming. Maybe some people did. I didn't. We went to CES, and I walked into Autel expecting to see an XStar Premium upgrade, and saw this and thought, is that a prototype? And they said, no, this is going to be in production. We'll have it out sometime early summer. And I said, you guys are going to crush it. And I thought the cameras were removable. And when I talked to them a little bit further, they're like, no, we're going to come out with 3 models. Like, you can't come out with 3 models. No one's going to buy 3 drones. They're going to pass on the 1/2.3, wait for the 1-inch. Maybe they'll buy the 360, but that'll be a tiny little market for you. Why would you not build this thing with a removable gimbal? It's impossible. It's not impossible. People do it. You're going to probably see it in the Mavic Pro too. But as a quad, it's incredibly good. The video on it's fantastic. It's got the visual inertial odometry for keeping track of where it is. It's got the GPS coordination. They're clever that it's got a display. I don't have the controller with me. It's got a nice little display in the controller, which isn't something I use as a primary display, but it's nice to have it there, a little better than what we saw on the Mavic Pro. So I'm not going to talk trash about it. I like it a lot. I've been flying it a lot. I've got a lot of clips coming out over the next couple of weeks talking about it. But I was disappointed in Autel, and that was the point of the clip. They hadn't actually released it yet, and I was still having conversations in the background with a couple of their engineers saying, if you can kill that 1/2.3 sensor, just don't even release that product and come out with the 1-inch sensor, you could dominate the market for a short period of time. And that first mover advantage is huge for companies. But
and that's one of the things, about that. And I had an XStar Premium. That was my first drone. And I'll tell you what, Rick, one of the biggest thing, the number one thing that has impressed me about Autel, their hardware is solid. I mean, they build a good, solid product. And I mean, I'm not just talking physically solid, but everything. That's the thing. The thing that frustrated me about the XStar Premium was the software and the software updates. Yeah. And if you remember and had any history, I know Ken Donna, Original Dobo, and I do, because he had one as well. Yep. Going through, I mean, with DJI, I'll look at it maybe a couple of weeks and there's a software update. With Autel, it was maybe 3, 4, 5 months. I mean, it was, and I understand, and I know DJI is this big and Autel is this big, and and I understand that the difference there, and I know that. and I think this time around, you know, I know I saw Ken Donna, Original Dobo. He had posted, evidently he's helping to, I guess, beta test the actual real fix for the horizon tilt issue, and said it's looking good. So, you know,
Yep.
That's the one thing I have to say right now, and I think I shared that with him, and I'll share that with you right now, is that they're being much more responsive than they were right now with the Evo and addressing this than they did like with the XStar Premium. It's like with the XStar Premium, they were like, you know, let's just, you know, lollygag around kind of stuff. But, you know, and I know they had layoffs, and I understand all that, but, you know, I think they have a winner on their hands, and I think they get these issues corrected. It's going to do well. It's going to hit a good segment. In fact, one of my friends, this is going to be real interesting. One of my subscribers has asked me to go ahead. He's actually sent me a video through Dropbox, and he wants me to put a video together of this clip of him, and also, you know, and I'm going to have it in quotes. It's his kind of review. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but one of the things that he's going to do with it, he actually works on search and rescue up in North or South Dakota. I'm not exactly sure, but he's going to have the Evo in his bag to help him when they go on helicopters for search and rescue operations, which I thought was just absolutely fantastic. So I'm real hopeful about this.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too for me that's important about these guys, you know, and I've got a ton of DJI stuff here, you've seen those before, but the important thing for me about these two guys is that we need competition in this space. And you know, DJI is going to hate me for saying that, but I'm a fan of any company that's willing to step up to the plate and build a quad, put it on the market, and say, tell me what you think of it, right? And as much as I picked on the Autel Evo before it was released, I did that really out of love with the company, saying, look, you're about to make a huge mistake with this product if you don't come out with the 1-inch. Now, I bought it, I own it, they didn't send it to me. I'll fly it like crazy. I'm still a fan of the company. I just felt like if I could change their opinion on that, great. But both of these products, I think, are still Gen 2 products. They're still good products, solid products, great competitive products for certain of the DJI products. But I think where these things are going to go in the next year or two, now that they learn from the experiences of what they're building here, I can't wait to see what they're doing. And both of those companies building products like that forces DJI to be creative and you know, inventive and lower their pricing and be competitive in the market space. It's never a good thing to have one company dominate the market like DJI does at this point. As much as I love their products, competition's a good thing.
It really is, you know. And you know, one of the things for me, and I know Original Dobo, I'm talking a lot about him, but I follow he's one of the channels that I follow regularly, and he lives probably about an hour away from me down here in Florida, which is
I've never met him. I'm gonna be in Florida actually next month. I'm taking my daughter down. She's gonna be working at Disney for the summer. She's got a job set up, hopefully a career down there. But so I may look you up when I'm down there. I'll be down in Orlando for a week or so, and I don't know if he's close to you, but maybe we can figure something out and go fly together.
Definitely, let me know, because it's only an hour away from us. So that's fantastic. And I know my stepdaughter's friend works for Disney and absolutely loves it. So
she's head over heels. She's so excited about it.
That's going to be great. You know, one of the things, you know, that I talked about with Ken, and you know, and I really complimented on this video, is, you know, he says, you know, we need, and you just said it, and we need Autel to succeed. We need Parrot to succeed, because when they do, that pushes DJI to be even better. And, you know, and it's a win-win-win all the way around. You know, it's a win for us as consumers, because you know, prices will remain relatively, you know, within an affordable range. It's a win for each one of those companies as well, because, you know, they'll get their share, you know. And if obviously, you know, if I had unlimited funds, you know, I would be snapping everything up left and right, you know. You know, I actually got on the list to get an Ahna Fee, so as a tester. So I'm looking forward to that when I get that. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Good.
But I'm hoping pretty soon.
It's a cool product. Hey, let me tease you with one more thing. You're down in Florida. Here's another company I've been working with pretty closely. You recognize this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the Power Ray. That's a fantastic product. So I'm testing that. I've been testing it all last year. I'm pretty close with those guys too. They have a Power Dolphin coming out. I put a little plug in by showing you that. But the reason I'm showing it to you is because as much as I love flying, the I don't know, subterranean, but the underwater stuff, the submarine stuff, is really catching my attention lately, because there's so much water around us in Jersey, and exploring down there underneath the water, 100 feet down, 200 feet down, it's incredible what you can see down there. So for me, as much as I love putting stuff up and flying, the swimming drones, I think, are the next big phase for us to play with. And you guys being in Florida, you've got tons of cool lakes and oceans and bays down there where you can put those things down. So that's something you should look into. They're kind of the leader of the space right now. I'm also working with another company called Fish, which is more of a commercial version that'll go down to like 300 feet deep. So it's really high resolution 4K camera. It's got big lights on the front. So it's really like you're swimming a submarine down that deep. But that's a whole nother segment of stuff that I'm playing with. It's been a ton of fun.
Well,
so,
you know, and I've actually seen some videos, and I don't know if you've seen this. There are these I'll call them, for lack of a better term, submersible quads.
Yeah, submersible.
And what one of them does, and I watched this channel, and it's fantastic. It will take the bait out at least 1,000 yards and drop the bait off here. Yep. And I know, you know, there's a company. There's some actually. I know there's a drone store that's about an hour and 2 hours south of me down in it's Fort Myers. I'm sorry, it's in Fort Myers, and I know her very well. In fact, you know, she let me borrow a Mavic Air to be able to test that out for them, and you know, by mentioning them on the air, they've gotten a big bump in business. So, and her husband, just to let you know, he actually this was before they had a Part 107. He actually got his private pilot's license so he could be able to fly drones commercially. Mm-hmm. And what he ended up doing was working for the utilities near Orlando after we had Irma come through. Right. And they were running Inspire 2s through there. And she showed me the case where they actually, the battery case for the Inspire 2. I don't know if you've seen that or not. Yep. Or they can recharge, like, oh God, it's like 12 batteries or something like that. Well, what they're going to do there is, with Florida Drone Supply is the name of the company. They are going to have training, and they're going to train people to do cell tower inspections. And her husband also trains people, and this just blew me away, Rick, because, you know, I know how you like technology, and I'm like that too. She told me now that with infrared sensing, they take Inspires up and they inspect golf courses, and they can tell where, you know, it's going to need some work to get with the greenskeepers to do that. And, you know, golf is like huge down here in Florida. So yeah, it's fantastic what can be done with this.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think, Bill, for me, what humbles me about this is, okay, I'm just a goofy guy in Jersey flying drones, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. My kids love it. My wife loves it. But really, the implications of this as a society, and I know I'm sounding a little weepy here, but when you think about the latest iteration of that dual camera that came out for the DJI product, where it's got the FLIR on one side and the 4K on the other side, and you think about the rescue missions you could run with that, where you put the drone up, and they had a video where the firemen were on the ground and there was a ladder up to a window with smoke pouring out of it, and they're wondering, should we risk our lives going through that window? Is there really somebody in that building? You put that drone up, it can see through the smoke, and sure enough, there's a guy in the bed inside the building. You're protecting the firemen's lives, you're saving lives in the building. They sent one out over the water, and they can set the temperature to say, look for anything in the water between 60 degrees and 80 degrees, or whatever the human body's temperature is. And it'll scan the water and find that, fly over to it, and give them a GPS positioning over top of it. Like, those kind of things just blow me away. As much fun as it is to fly this, if it's going to save lives and really improve lives, that's a home run. I mean, that's just wonderful. The companies are doing that kind of stuff. So the power line inspections, I know that's really dangerous work to be up there, you know, on a cherry picker or whatever they used to use before, or even under a bridge inspecting girders and stuff. They can use these remote controlled vehicles. That's fantastic stuff.
And I have to say this, you know, it wasn't, because that's who I bought my Mavic Pro through, and I got clued into them by some of the guys over near Orlando. They said, hey, you need to get with them. And this is in January 2017 when I got mine. Yep. And, you know, I've been hearing horror stories about, you know, I heard the horror stories about people waiting a month, 2 months to get their Mavic Pro. And she said, oh yeah, we have them in stock. And this was on a Friday. I ordered it 6 o'clock Friday, and I got it sitting on my door at 10 a.m. the next day.
Isn't that exciting? Like when it shows up. I mean, that moment when that box shows up on the front door, even I knew the Evo was coming, and I got excited. I got goosebumps when the doorbell rang, and there's the FedEx guy. There's just something about that reveal of pulling it out of the box.
It really is.
You're immediately 9 years old on Christmas morning, right? When that happens.
Well, and and one of the things that I've got with Florida Drone Supply, and it's really cool to have somebody in state like that, is they can ship most things UPS ground, and it will be at your door the next day, so you don't have to pay the gargantuan, unbelievable overnight charge for that.
Yeah.
Here's one of the things that I found out, and I've always been curious to ask somebody this, and I never have. DJI, and I had heard, I'm getting propellers sent to me from DJI. I spend $20 to get propellers, okay? And it's coming FedEx. And then I see there's absolutely no options. You have to be at home to pick that up. Right. Well, I had direct messaged them on Twitter and asked them about this, and they told me that they had some items stolen, so that's their policy going forward. And I said, well, I understand it, and I understand where you're coming from, but number one, these are $20 propellers. Right. And number two, couldn't you drop this off and here's another example, okay? I had an HP computer, and I know HP previously, they're extremely picky about this. I had no problem getting it delivered to a FedEx Kinko and be able to pick that up later. But with DJI, it's like you got to be home. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with you, it's a complicated product, and it's a high value product too. So I certainly understand them worrying about, number one, it being on your porch, somebody stealing it legitimately, and then you're like, well, I didn't get it, so you got to send me another one. But even still, there are people out there that'll just say it never showed up, right? And you don't want to think people can be that evil, but it's a big dollar item, so I'm sure they got to protect themselves. But I don't understand the propellers. $20. You lose them. That's it, right?
Yeah. That's just absolutely positively crazy. I'm a big fan of your channel, Rick. And
thanks, Bill. I appreciate it.
One of the things that I said originally and during the first part of the stream was, when I first got started into this wonderful world of quads, your channel, Ed Ricker's channel, Kelly from Ready Set Drone, his channel, and Billy Kyle. You guys were the first ones that got me indoctrinated into this. And I just absolutely, I'm sitting there at night with my iPad, and my wife's asking, what are you doing? I said, I'm watching Rick Smith from Drone Valley, or I'm watching Billy Kyle. And then, she's like, who are these guys? Who are you watching? And then I finally told her. But I have to share with you, and my subscribers know and my followers know, my wife is very much a part of this channel as well. Whenever you see me outside, she's filming me.
Wow, that's great.
The scenes out there, and she's every bit as much a partner in this as me, and she absolutely loves it. And and I tell you what, this is just a plug for her, and she's usually on. I don't think she's on the stream tonight. She was my perfect match for me, Rick. We met coming up on 8 years ago. 15 days after we got married, and we've been married 8 years. And
sometimes you just know. That's great.
It is. Wonderful. When you get to be, I got a big birthday coming up on Monday. There's a 6 in front of. It's the second anniversary of my 30th birthday. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I like to look at that.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, when you get to be this old, and I know I'm not talking about drones right now, but I'm sure my audience will bear with me here for a second. Is what you want, what you're looking for, and I found someone for life. And the thing that for me with her is she's gorgeous, but it's not about that. It's the heart, Rick. And that's what I tell. My daughter got married last year. My older son, is seriously dating somebody, and I tell my younger son, I said, you know what? The looks are going to go away. I said, what's going to be in here, that doesn't go away. That's what you want.
No, I agree 100%. I've got 34 years of marriage under my belt, and I met her, fell in love with her, and been married to her ever since, and she's been the greatest partner I've ever had. And I know we're getting a little off topic on drones, but I think that's important because it balances out my life. She's always challenging me, always questioning me. If I'm doing something goofy, she'll say, you're doing something goofy. So it's sort of a self-correcting relationship, and I just love it. And she doesn't get in front of a camera, but she'll be out there in the field with me, filming or watching, or she'll fly occasionally, and we have a lot of fun out there. So it's really a really good thing. But I do have to pick on you a little bit, because when I started watching your channel, and I'm a big fan of your channel, I'm saying that in all sincerity. I'm not doing that because you were nice to me about mine. But I love that you're in front of a camera talking about drones, and there's a youthful exuberance about you when you're talking about something. You just get excited, you get into it, and I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. So keep that up. But what I want to pick on you is because when I watched your channel the first couple times, I introduced my clips by saying, "Hey, it's Rick from Drone Valley." You start off with, "Hey, it's Bill the Drone Reviewer." Hey, technology fans. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a compliment. But then you end happy flying, which is our sign off. So keep doing that. Don't stop it. But I think it's adorable.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I got, who was it? Ken Herron. I was on his show. I don't know when. It was a few weeks ago. And one of the things that I did for him, and I have to, this was absolutely funny. I put out a clip. There's a street in the development we live on. It's called Heron Watch Place.
Okay.
Spelled the same way. So I went out, I filmed it, and I put a clip together, and I said, you know what? I have to thank you so much for letting me on your show. I just can't thank you enough. So I pulled a few strings, and ta-da, and I took a close-up of the sign up there. And he absolutely loved it. And I love being on his show. And he, you know, and I got to tell you this, when I first found out about his accident from Kelly from Ready, Set, Drone, and, you know, Rick, usually I run everything financial through my better half, and I didn't even do that, you know, $20 right away towards that, you know, that kind of thing. And that's one of the things I wanted to kind of close with is talk about the drone community here. And what a wonderful community it is.
I love it. I really do. What you've got is a bunch of people that just love flying. It's a tight-knit community. There's none of this carping going on where this guy's in competition with that guy, and there's a lot of compliments floating around. And I think everybody brings a different perspective to it. I mean, Ken, love him or hate him, he's the pun meister. I mean, he's really kind of a corny guy having a lot of fun, but there's a lot of technology in his conversations that he gets across and different perspectives on things. And one of the things I like to promote, and I think you're doing the same thing, is that we all get smarter together. You know, so I'll see something on somebody's channel and think, man, I never thought about it that way before. Maybe I will do it that way next time. Or, you know, somebody will see something on my channel and it'll change the way they fly. So I love the community. I really do. And that's part of what I like about your channel, is that you're out there every week. You're talking about stuff that's current. You got a lot of fans, obviously, that are tuning into your channel, and we'll all get smarter together. But before you sign off, I have two gifts for you that I want to give you. I'm going to send you these. So I want you to give these away. I got a hat, Drone Valley hat for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Drone Valley mug. Now these are rare. Only a couple of people have these. So I'll send you two. You can keep a set, and then you can give a set away to whatever you want to do on your channel.
Awesome.
For your viewers. But I do love the community, and for me, it's not a business. It's just I like to fly, and if I figure something out around the technology, I'll put a clip together, and I have to be inspired to do it. It's not like I get up every morning and go, oh, what am I going to do today for a clip? I'm interested in the tech. If something catches my interest, I'll put a camera together and go downstairs and film it, or go out in the field and film it. And I think you do the same thing, and it's definitely a service to the community. So thanks a lot for doing what you do.
Oh, you're welcome, Rick. You know, and one of the things, you know, my channel turned a year old in June, and one of the things, you know, for me, it's something I like, and I'm like you, I'm passionate about this. And you know, one of the things that I learned early on, you know, as I you know, I soaked you guys up. I soaked you and Ed Ricker and Kelly and Billy and you know, and Ken. And one of the other things that I watched a lot of was Sean Cannell on YouTube. You know, I know a lot of people go to different people on YouTube. He was my guy as far as like learning the ins and outs of YouTube and everything. And he really helped me a lot, you know, with my format and what I do about things. One of the things that, you know, I like to kind of focus on is, you know, for instance, I've done several videos that I knew were not going to get a lot of views. For example, I did one on the FAA UAS symposium in Baltimore, you know, a very dry subject, but, you know, I thought it had a lot of good quality information. I also did one on drone parachutes, you know, and I explored the gambit on that, you know, and again, you know, I knew this wasn't going to get a lot of response. And also early on, I did a couple like on drone insurance, you know, and also I did one on the organization that for radio control planes that you can belong to, I'm a member of that. Yeah, yeah. I did one on that, and and these weren't ones that I knew weren't going to get. I didn't do those for views. I did that to get information out, Rick. And I want, I'm so passionate about this. I want people. I want to share things with people.
I think that's wonderful. And I don't put a clip together because I think it's going to be popular. I put clips together that I think are timely or a subject interests me. And I don't know. I'm a little confused about the YouTube community because I'm an older guy, so I feel like I'm trying to do good by the community. I put out clips that I think are helpful. I think what's most frustrating for me is when I'll get like a ton of down thumbs or something, but then nobody tells me what they didn't like. They'll just, they'll down thumb a video and you're like, what did I do wrong there? Is that, was it not cool enough? Was it not funny enough? Like, if you're going to give me a thumbs down, give me some comments about what it was you were disappointed in the video, and that's the hardest part for me to get over. I don't know if you feel the same way, if you get, comments.
What I do with something like that, and I'm gonna close, and then I want you to stick around for
sure.
after we close here. One of the things that I do is I got smart, and somebody told me early on, you can shut that display off. They can still dislike, but you can shut that off. And I learned early on, if I'm looking at that count, that I shut that off, and that way, people aren't going to say, oh, well, it's getting so many down thumbs, let's not watch this video or whatever. And I'm like you, I want to know if I'm doing, and this is something that I thought was good. I've gotten a lot of good constructive criticism, as far as like, Bill, you know what, you probably need to lower your camera just a little bit, I think you would look better if you kind of tilted your, or just some mechanics or just some things that I can easily correct. And I've done these things, Rick, and it's helped immensely. And, and these are the ones that I help versus other ones who will just give you the down thumb and they don't say a word. And it's like, I'm frustrated with that too. And,
I do controversial topics. I'll talk about the NFZs, right? A lot of people hate the fact that there's built-in NFZs on the drones. I think it's a good thing. I think it keeps you out of trouble. Not a fan of hand launching. I think hand launching and catching is something that mature pilots can do well. Newbies shouldn't do that. You're going to cut a finger off. So I'd come out against that. People give me grief for that, but it's my honest opinion. And I feel like, you have to be honest on these things and let the clips, do what they do and let the comments fall where they may. But it took me a while to get used to that. Now it's not a big deal. If somebody complains, I just respond and say, hey, thanks for your comments, and I'll do better next time. But anyway, I'm rambling on here. So
no. I just wanted to say this. We're going to close here, and then hang on after I close. Everybody, if you've been hiding under a bushel the last several years and really haven't known Rick Smith from Drone Valley, make sure you like him. Not only is he's also on Twitter. Make sure you're with that as well, and share with him. If there's something you like about his clip, let him know that. And always with me. Let me know that. And if there's something you don't like, let us know that as well. But keep it civil and don't make it personal. Don't make it an attack, because we're out here. We're doing it because we enjoy what we do. We like what we do. I saw a need and I'm excited about it. And like Rick said, and I thank you, Rick, for those compliments. There's a need out there. We like to fill that. And I want to thank everybody for this. I'm going to put a link for Rick's channel in there. If you can't find it, shame on you for 1,000 Sundays. No, but I'll put a link out there, and then we'll give away that. And Rick, thank you so much for that.
I'll get your information after the thing, but I'll send you that stuff. No problem.
Absolutely. Guys, thank everybody for joining. I know we're a few minutes over, but we actually got started late because of all the technical difficulties here, but we did get started. So thank you all for joining. Got some other clips coming out this week. Make sure you take a look at those. Any news, that's going to be out there, we'll get that out to you guys. Again, thank you all so much for joining tonight. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks a lot for having me, Bill.